Hey there, BCC. It's just a week. It's a week to go before we're all back together again. If you're in year 11 and 12, you are already at school today. It is great that you are there. I'm so looking forward to being with you all again next week. Now, to start this week, I wanted to put a question out there to you all. And the question is how are you feeling about being social again and getting back into social life? How are you feeling about that? Because I've noticed this thing as I've been talking to a whole bunch of my friends. Now, these are my friends. They're grown-ups. Most of them are in their 20s. Some of them are in their 30s. And as I've spoken to my friends about how they're feeling about getting back into regular life and going out to dinner and going out to the beach with friends and hanging in bigger groups, what I'm hearing time and time again is that people are really nervous. They're nervous that they've forgotten how to be social. They're nervous that they've forgotten how to get along with people. They're like, what am I going to talk about? When someone says, how was your week? What am I going to say? Pretty much like every other week that's been, I stayed at my house and went for a walk or something. People are feeling really nervous about whether they fit and how they'll be perceived when they go back to socializing with people. I took my son Leo to school today. He's in year 1. He's the only one of our kids to go back to school. And I said, how are you feeling? And he said, I'm feeling really excited about going back to school. But then he said, but I'm also really nervous. And I was like, oh, bud, why are you nervous? And he says, well, what if my friends don't want to play with me anymore? What if it's been so long and we're not friends anymore? What if we don't get along? I'm feeling like for a lot of people, the end of this lockdown period is really exciting in some ways, but it's a source of anxiety and fear in others. Because there's that feeling of like, can we just pick up where we left off? Will I be accepted, or will I be ostracized or moved to the side of the community? Now, one of the wonderful things about the passage that we have this week, and it's so marvelously coincidental. Well, let's not say coincidental because we believe in God. Let's say providential, in God's good timing, that we are looking at John chapter 2, the week before we're coming back together. Because I think what you see in this marvelous story of Jesus changing water into wine is that one of the things that Jesus cares for, one of the things that Jesus wants to renew in our life, is our social connection. He cares about the relationships that you have with your community, and he wants those to flourish. He wants you to feel included, accepted, and affirmed as part of a wonderful community. And you see that in this story in an interesting way. To try to make my point, I want to start with this question. Who cares? Right? So hopefully you've read the passage in John chapter 2 about Jesus changing water into wine. But who cares that this person's run out of wine at the wedding? Like, why is this a matter of concern for Jesus? Why does Mary go to Jesus and say, Jesus, we have a problem. We've run out of wine. Now, here's the scenario. Weddings in those days probably went for, up to a week, I think, in Judges, maybe it talks about a week's worth of wedding. And it was the responsibility of the bridegroom, so the man getting married, to provide wine for that long length of time. And what we see here is potentially, 3 days into the wedding or something like that, they're beginning to run out of wine. But my question is, who cares? Why would that matter? Who cares if they've run out of wine? They've already been drinking for 3 days. Do they need any more? Well, what it seems like is happening here is it's a source of incredible embarrassment for the bridegroom if they have failed to prepare for the party that they were supposed to throw for this wonderful thing, which was their wedding. It's an incredible source of embarrassment. And actually, it could be the kind of thing that people hold against you forever, that changes your position in society, that pushes you off to the side of society. Is that making sense? So when Mary, and it seems like Mary was involved in the wedding somehow, in preparing or serving at the wedding. When Mary comes to Jesus and she says, there is no more wine, you need to do something. I think what she's saying is this: Jesus, you need to help. And what's at stake? It's not someone's physical life at stake here. It's someone's social life. This family is looking down the barrel of embarrassment and ostracization. Jesus, can you do something? And it's interesting, isn't it? Because at the beginning it feels like Jesus won't do something. He says to a woman. Now that sounds really harsh, like, woman, how dare you, woman? But actually in the original Greek, it's more like, it's just a word signifying someone who's married. So it's like woman instead of girl. So it might be madam, might be a better translation. He says, woman, why do you involve me? My hour has not yet come. Now, it sounds like he's saying, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't care about this guy's social standing. What's this got to do with me? He says. But as you kind of follow the story, you realize that Mary doesn't take it that way. So immediately after that, when he says, my hour has not yet come, his mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Now, isn't that fascinating? Regardless of what Jesus means by saying, why do you involve me in this? Mary knows Jesus. And she knows that he's going to do something about this. And she says, do whatever he tells you. Now, apparently this is like the only time in the whole of the Gospels that Mary gives a command. And her only command is to do whatever he tells you. Now, I wonder if that is not a wonderful centerpiece of Christianity. Just that one command. Just do whatever he tells you. She has such a trust in Jesus, such a knowledge of what Jesus cares for. She can say, do whatever he tells you. He's going to do something here and it's going to be miraculous and amazing. And he does. He provides, I think it's like 180 gallons, which when I Googled it, it's like 800 liters of wine for this wedding he provides. And what's he doing? Oh, the other thing that's really interesting about that actually is only a select few people know where the wine came from. So the master of ceremonies, he doesn't know where the wine came from. The bridegroom, he doesn't know where the wine comes from. Only Mary, the servants, and the disciples know where the man comes from. You know what's going on there? Is Jesus is not trying to take the spotlight. He's not saying, hey, look at me. I'm the one who's providing all this wine. Aren't I fantastic? I saved the day. He's allowing people to think that the bridegroom had it all sorted the whole time. What are we learning? We're learning that Jesus fundamentally cares about your connection in community. He cares about your social life. He wants you to feel socially full, like you are a valued member of a community. And he will work to make you feel valued. Now, here's the wonderful thing about where this kind of idea goes in the Christian church. People take this and say, yep, Jesus cares about you feeling connected in a community. The Christian church takes this and they say this. They say everybody is welcome here at this marvelous wedding feast, which is the gathering of believers. Every Sunday, in all the churches that this school is connected to, the church is saying, everyone is welcome here at the celebration. You belong here. This can be your community. This can be your social life. Regardless of what you come from, what you have done, where you've been, what the color of your skin is, what your postcode is, how rich you are, how poor you are, whether you can give to the offering or whether you don't give to the offering, even regardless of what your beliefs, the church is saying you are welcome here. Jesus welcomes you and he wants you to be part of this community, this wonderful church community that loves you and wants to see you transformed. Yeah, that's cool, hey? Jesus cares about your social life and your inclusion in a wonderful and marvelous community. There's a gazillion more things I could point out here, but just tell me one more. I'll give you one more. We're told very deliberately that the jars that Jesus fills up aren't just any jars. They're the jars that are used for ceremonial washing. So what would happen whenever you had any dinner as a Jewish person, but particularly when you're at a wedding, you would plunge your hands into these jars and you would kind of wash them. Now, it's not so much about hygiene and make sure you get the germs off your hands. It's more about cleansing. It's more about getting rid of the things that might contaminate you spiritually, whether you've been in contact with death or someone from outside your group, so a Gentile person. You're going to wash that off so that you won't be contaminated. And by taking these and turning them into wine, a picture of celebration, I think Jesus is saying this. He's saying your source of cleansing, the thing that makes you clean, is not ceremonially washing your hands. It's me. It's me. It's my life. It's my death. It's my resurrection. That's the thing that will clean you. And if you want to be clean before God, come to me and I will wash you. I will wash you clean and you will be white as snow. I will forgive your sins. And you will be once more with me and with my Father and with all those people gathered in my name. That's a wonderful little moment, isn't it? This is John chapter 2, everyone. Grace and peace.